Today we're starting with something very difficult, a death. Charlie Kirk, one of the most prominent conservative voices of our time, has died. Now, before we even dive into anything else, let's just sit with that for a second. A family lost a son, a husband, a father, a brother. Friends lost someone they cared about. No matter how you felt about his politics, he was a human being, and his death leaves behind grief, and that's very real for the people that loved him. And here's the hard truth. We are so divided as a country that even in moments of loss, we can't help but split into camps. Look at the reactions that are pouring in. On one side, heartfelt mourning, people remembering him as a passionate defender of conservative values and a fighter. On the other side, mockery and even celebration. This is the world we live in now. Someone's death isn't just personal anymore, it's political theater. Charlie Kirk wasn't just a person, he was a symbol. To some, he embodied patriotism and courage, and to others, he represented extremism and division. But here's what's most striking. In death, the symbol overshadows the human. The conversation isn't about the man his family knew, it's about what he stood for, or what people think he stood for. And that says more about us than it does about him. So why does this happen? Because our system is built for it. Media thrives on conflict. Social platforms reward outrage, and politicians depend on us to pick sides. So when someone like Charlie Kirk dies, we don't pause, we don't reflect, we weaponize. We slot his life and his death into the endless cycle of us versus them. That is division by design, and we're all caught in it. We've seen this before, we're seeing it right now. In Minnesota, after the tragic school shooting that took place that took children's lives. Just like with Charlie Kirk's death, the reactions split almost immediately. Some people are grieving, demanding solutions, asking how many more lives we're willing to lose. Others are defensive, rushing to frame it as a political attack on their gun rights. Different sides, different contexts, but the same pattern. A human tragedy reduced to political ammo, and that's the heartbreaking common thread. Whether it's a public figure we disagree with or children we should all want to protect, our first instinct as a nation is too often to fight and not to feel. So what do? We remember that honoring someone's life doesn't mean you're endorsing their politics. It simply means you're respecting their humanity and you're being human. And maybe we need to ask ourselves the very uncomfortable question. If you're crying for Charlie Kirk, but you weren't crying for the kids in Minnesota, or vice versa, what does that say about us as a country? Why is it easier to mourn someone who confirmed our political identity than to grieve our children whose only identity was being children? The gap in compassion is not an accident. It's the result of a system that tells us whose lives should matter most and whose don't. Division may be designed, but empathy is still a choice. If we can practice compassion when it's hardest, maybe we can begin to untangle ourselves from the system that wants us to hate first and then humanize later. And maybe, just maybe, we can learn to grieve together, even when we disagree. Because listen, if we can't share humanity in death, then how the hell are we ever going to find it in life? This has been Divided by Design. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other.